There are rare moments on talent shows when a performer walks on stage as a nervous child and leaves as a phenomenon. Courtney Hadwin was one of those moments. At just 13, she stunned Simon Cowell and millions around the world with a voice that sounded like it belonged to another era. She was shy, almost withdrawn until the music started, and then she transformed into a lioness. What followed should have been the start of a glittering career, but the story did not unfold the way many expected. Behind the applause and headlines, there was a darker journey that even Simon Cowell would later admit left him shaken. From a small village to the global stage, Courtney Hadwin's story began in Heasan, a quiet former mining village in County Durham, England. Born on July 6, 2004, she grew up with her parents, Paul and Anne-Marie, and her siblings Paul and Melissa. Music was not just a pastime in the Hadwin household. It became Courtney's refuge. From a young age, she sang at home, experimenting with her voice before ever stepping into the spotlight. By the time she was 9 or 10, she was singing properly, as she would later say, and by 11, she was already performing at her primary school. Her breakout at school came when she sang Say Something by A Great Big World and Christina Aguilera during a lunchtime open mic. The performance was recorded and uploaded to Facebook, where it quickly gained local attention. Classmates who had never imagined such power coming from the shy girls sitting beside them in class suddenly realized they were witnessing something extraordinary. Encouraged by that reaction, Courtney began to pursue music more seriously, supported by her parents and especially her grandfather, who would proudly share stories about her early busking. Busking wasn't about money for Courtney. It was about practice and passion. Whatever she made was used to pay for lessons at Shotton Hall Theatre School, Peanuts Masterclasses, Kate Sir School of Music, and Vocal Ovation by Julie Miles. By 2015, she entered her first major competition, Teenar UK, where she reached the grand final with a soulful version of Bob Dylan's Make You Feel My Love. The following year, she won Hartlepool's Performer of the Year award and auditioned for Open Mic UK, gaining confidence as each stage prepared her for something bigger. Her climb continued in 2017 when she appeared on The Voice Kids UK, performing Tina Turner's Nutbush City Limits. She impressed the judges and joined Team Danny Jones. She advanced through the battle round with Dancing in the Street and eventually reached the semi-final with James Brown's I Got You, I Feel Good. In the final, she performed And I Am Telling You I'm Not Going, cementing her status as one of the most promising young voices in the UK. The audition that changed everything. In June 2018, a nervous 13-year-old Courtney Hadwin stepped onto the America's Got Talent stage. She looked like any shy schoolgirl, quiet, reserved, unsure if she even belonged there. Simon Cowell, Mel B, Heidi Klum, and Howie Mundell waited for her to start, and at first the audience wasn't expecting much. But the moment the first notes of Otis Redding's Hard to Handle rang out, everything changed. Courtney's voice exploded through the studio with a rasp and power far beyond her years. She didn't just sing, she transformed. The shy girl vanished, replaced by a performer who commanded the stage with the energy of a rock legend. Simon leaned back in his chair, his usual poker face cracking. Even he looked stunned, as if he'd been hit by something he hadn't seen coming. The audience jumped to their feet, clapping, screaming, unable to contain themselves. It was Howie Mandel who reacted first. He slammed the golden buzzer, showering Courtney in confetti and guaranteeing her a place in the live shows. He told her that her voice belonged to a whole different era and compared her energy to Janis Joplin. The clip of that audition went viral almost instantly. Within hours, it was being shared across social media platforms, and by the time the episode finished airing, the video had already gathered tens of millions of views. Today, that audition has been watched over 300 million times. One of the most iconic moments in AGT history. For Simon Cowell, who had built his career on spotting talent, Courtney was a revelation. He described her transformation as like a lion, and he knew the show had just uncovered something rare. From that moment, Courtney Hadwin wasn't just a schoolgirl from County Durham. She was a global name. Her journey through the season was filled with electric performances. In the quarterfinals, semifinals, and the finals, she delivered one show-stopping performance after another. Each time channeling raw energy that seemed impossible for someone so young. Fans around the world called her a generational talent. Some even declared that she was the future of soul rock music. But when the results came in, Courtney didn't win. She finished 6th overall, a shocking outcome for many who believed she was the standout of the season. Still, the exposure had done its work. She was invited to join AGT live shows in Las Vegas and was later announced as a competitor on America's Got Talent, The Champions in early 2019, performing alongside legends like Susan Boyle, The Record Deal, and The Way to Fame. By December 2018, just months after her America's Got Talent journey ended, Courtney Hadwin's dream seemed to be coming true. At only 14 years old, she signed a long-term recording and publishing deal with Simon Cowell Psycho Music in partnership with Arista Records. The announcement made headlines across the UK and the US. On Twitter, Courtney herself wrote, "So excited to finally say that I have signed a record deal with Psycho and Aristords. Thank you so much. This wouldn't be possible without all your support. Sign dreams do come true. Now, let's make music." Her family celebrated with pride. Her mother and Marie said, "Courtney has worked so hard over the past few years, and she deserves everything that comes her way. We love her so much and we are all so incredibly proud of her." Even her former music teacher at the academy at Shotton Hall, Dan Robson, praised her achievements and admitted how much the school would miss her. It was the kind of support that many teenage stars dream of. And for a brief moment, everything seemed perfect. But what looked like a fairy tale from the outside was far more complicated behind the scenes. Courtney was still just a child trying to balance school, family, and the weight of a major record deal. Almost overnight, she had gone from open mic nights in County Durham to being molded for international stardom. Studio sessions were scheduled back to back. Producers pitched songs, hooks, and beats designed for radio, not necessarily for the teenager still trying to find her own artistic identity. Courtney would later reflect on those years with honesty. She admitted that everyone around me was telling me who I should be and what I should sound like. Instead of exploring her raw blues rock energy, she often felt pushed toward polished pop soul tracks that didn't match her voice or her heart. The constant comparisons to Janis Joplin, while flattering, also became a trap. Industry executives wanted her to fit into a mold when what made her special was that she didn't fit any mold at all. The pressure mounted. Courtney was flying between the UK and the US juggling studio recordings, promotional events, and industry meetings. For a 14-year-old still living with her family, it was overwhelming. She began to feel isolated, caught between the expectations of the label and her own teenage emotions. While her fans cheered her every move online, privately she was struggling to hold on to the joy that music once gave her. By early 2019, when she appeared on America's Got Talent, The Champions, the shine was already beginning to wear off. Though she performed with the same fiery energy, something was changing. The weight of deadlines, constant comparisons, and a lack of creative control was slowly suffocating the young singer who had once lit up the stage with so much freedom. Too much, too soon. For many fans, 2019 was supposed to be the year Courtney Hadwin truly exploded into the music industry. She had the backing of Simon Cowell Psycho label, a deal with Arista Records, and millions of people waiting to hear her first big release. But behind the curtain, the pressure was quietly crushing her. A typical week meant long-haul flights between the UK and the US, endless studio sessions, and meetings with executives who seemed more interested in shaping her into a marketable product than nurturing her as a young artist. At just 14, Courtney was expected to deliver radio-ready songs that matched the label's vision. She later confessed that the sessions often felt suffocating, saying, "Everyone around me was telling me who I should be." This tension between the artist she wanted to be and the product the industry demanded began to wear her down. Instead of exploring her raw soul and blues roots, she was recording polished pop tracks that didn't feel authentic. The more she worked, the less connected she felt to her music. What once gave her joy now became a source of frustration. Fans began to notice the change, too. After the buzz of AGT and The Champions, Courtney's social media posts started to slow down. At first, it was small, less frequent updates, fewer behind-the-scenes glimpses. Then, her presence nearly disappeared altogether. People began to ask questions. Was she sick? Was there a falling out with Simon? Why wasn't she releasing music if she had such a big record deal? Rumors swirled online. Some speculated she had suffered a breakdown. Others thought she might have quit music altogether. The truth was more complicated. Courtney was still writing, still trying, but she was doing it quietly, away from the glare of expectations. She was retreating from the spotlight, not because she didn't love music anymore, but because the industry had made her feel like she had no voice in her own career. Meanwhile, Simon Cowell moved on with the next season of America's Got Talent. The cameras rolled. New hopefuls auditioned and the machine continued. For him, Courtney was another talent he had discovered, another deal signed. But for Courtney, it felt like she had been left to navigate the harshest parts of fame alone, finding her voice again. By the early 2020s, Courtney Hadwin's absence from the mainstream music scene was undeniable. The whirlwind of America's Got Talent, the Las Vegas shows, the Champion spin-off, and the much-celebrated Psycho/Iced deal had all faded into silence. But behind that silence, Courtney was slowly rediscovering herself. No longer tied to the heavy machinery of a major label, she started writing and recording on her own terms. One of the most important turning points came when she began working with Grammy-winning producer Kevin Bowe, known for his collaborations with Joe Cocker and Ada James. With him, Courtney wasn't just another young artist pressured to chase radio hits. She was encouraged to write honestly, to embrace her grit, and to channel her raw emotions into songs that sounded like her. For the first time in years, she felt like she had control over her own music. The songs that followed reflected that shift. Tracks like Monsters, Breakable, That Girl Don't Live Here, and especially You Only Love Me When I Lie weren't polished pop singles designed to fit neatly into playlists. They were raw, emotional, and fearless. Courtney herself described them as honest reflections of what she'd been through, a mix of pain, resilience, and identity. Critics noticed, too. Reviewers called You Only Love Me When I Lie her most emotionally powerful performance yet, praising her for exposing scars instead of hiding them. Courtney herself admitted that the difference was night and day. Reflecting on her early career, she said, "Everyone around me was telling me who I should be. Now I know who I am as an artist." For her, this wasn't just about releasing new music. It was about reclaiming her voice and with it, her strength. She described this period as a rebirth, one where she could finally write and perform without the crushing weight of expectation. By 2024, she was once again stepping onto bigger stages, but this time on her own terms. In April that year, music mogul Clive Davis invited her to perform at Carnegie Hall for a Janis Joplin tribute gala. For many, it was a full-circle moment. Courtney, once compared to Joplin in a way that nearly became a burden, was now performing her idol songs in front of industry legends, not as an imitator, but as an artist in her own right. What had once nearly broken her was now her source of strength. She was no longer the shy 13-year-old swept into a machine she couldn't control. She was 20 years old, independent, fearless, and unafraid to let the world hear her true self. Simon's regret and Courtney's new chapter. As Courtney rebuilt her career, fans online began sharing clips and quotes that suggested Simon Cowell had quietly broken his silence about her journey. For years, Simon had moved on, searching for new talent on Britain's Got Talent and America's Got Talent, rarely looking back. But in these viral snippets, something unusual appeared. Emotion, he reportedly admitted. "We expected too much too soon. She was a kid. I think we failed her." For a man known for his unshakable composure, those words carried weight. People claimed his voice cracked, his usual armor slipping as he reflected on the pressures placed on a teenager who had barely found her place in the world. Whether or not Simon truly said those words remains debated. Mainstream outlets haven't confirmed it, but even the possibility shows how Courtney Hadwin's story lingers in the minds of those who once placed her on the biggest stage in the world. She was no ordinary contestant. She was the young girl Simon once called a lion, a performer who for a moment set the world on fire. And she was also a reminder of how fragile young talent can be when pushed too hard, too fast. Today, Courtney lives back in County Durham, not as a viral child star, but as a grounded 20-year-old artist. She continues to write and record with Kevin Bowe, building toward her debut album, Little Miss Jagged, scheduled for release in September 2025. She balances her career with a personal life rooted in family and authenticity, often sharing glimpses of her journey on social media. With over 1 million followers across platforms, she connects with fans not through stage promotion, but through honesty, discussions about mental health, casual studio sessions, and candid reflections. In early 2025, she signed with a new management team, Total Artist Management, under Oliver Moa, and began booking shows across the UK and Europe. From smaller venues like London's Fiddler Elbow, to prestigious stages such as Carnegie Hall, her performances are no longer about chasing fame. They're about sharing truth. Fans describe her new music as raw and fearless, a reflection of the girl who once lost herself in the industry, but found the courage to come back stronger. Courtney's journey is a powerful reminder that talent alone is not enough. The industry can lift you up and nearly break you in the same breath, but she survived. And today she sings with honesty, not expectation. What do you think? Did Simon Cowell truly fail Courtney Hadwin? Or was her struggle an inevitable part of growing up in the spotlight? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you never miss our next.